Time they catch him on a little trap. It looks like it's going to go right. He goes back to the left. And this one here, look at that cavern to the backside.
I think there's going to be a fair number of defensive coordinators trying to figure out how to defend that cutback block.
Well, they've been trying for 2 years. They can't get it done.
Oh, Ed McCaffrey hit with a solid shot by Brock Marion.
Well, Big Eddie McCaffrey, number 87, they've been moving these wide receivers because this helps them. Look at Terrell Buckley trying to fight through the traffic to get there, but Brock Marion saw it coming across, and wow, that is a big-time hit by Brock Marion. And, of course, John Elway not doing Big Ed any favors by throwing it high, and that is solid. See, Greg, when they hit you that solid and drive you into the ground, it doesn't hurt
as much.
Yeah, as much.
Sharp, first down yardage inside the 30.
Well, we see it again. Terrell Davis on the sideline with cramps in his calf. But again, Shannon Sharp coming across the formation. And why they're doing this, again, when you run across the field against man coverage, it makes it hard for the defender to chase you. Look at Gerald Wilson, number 24, chasing him because you got to worry about other receivers, defensive backs get in your way, and it just makes it hard. That's why the receivers are getting open.
Oh, way to throw again. Down the sideline, Rod Smith, touchdown!
Well, that is a replay of what happened down in Miami, except the Dolphins were the ones doing the throwing. And this is what was happening down there. Watch Rod Smith. Perfect coverage by Sam Madison, but the ball is thrown just behind him. The receiver makes the adjustment. The defender cannot.
You're talking about talkers on the field. Sam Madison does a lot of that. Imagine Rod Smith was giving a little of it back to him. Elam is good on the extra point. 13:23 to play in regulation. And Rod Smith coming back behind Madison with a handful of jersey, and John Elway says, that was good. These great pictures provided by Southwest Airlines.
I don't like heights. Makes me dizzy.
John Avery, 15, the 30, the 35, and he is hit hard and dropped there by Ray Crockett. Let's go back to the touchdown pass to Rod Smith.
Well, if you want to know why Sam Madison was yelling and why he couldn't stop, look at that right hand of Rod Smith. He has got that jersey. It's perfect, and he pulls him forward. He stops and goes up and makes the catch. Now, early in the telecast, we were talking about Sam Madison, Terrell Buckley. They would tell us last night about their grippers, their hands. But we saw the receiver kind of reversing at that time, and Rod Smith used it to his advantage to make the catch.
First down, Miami from the 35. Marino looking at a huge deficit now. Quick pass, complete. McDuffie. And McDuffie across the 45 to about the 47. 12 yards and a first down.
Well, we can see again, Greg, we talked about the 2 weeks. The Denver Broncos, not only did they get rested up, but this coaching staff came up with a lot of good things, new looks. The players are excited, and they've shown it all on the field today.
Marino complete to the 40-yard line to Gadsden. And that's another Miami first down. That is a 13-yard pickup. You know, it's interesting. We've talked about these two great quarterbacks. When you talk to John Elway and you say, well, John, is this your last season? Are you coming back? And he goes, well, I don't know. I'm not going to think about that until midsummer. Marino, oh, yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah, Dan Marino. I mean, when you watch him play, you see him move around and throw this ball.
Great catch inside the 25 by O.J. McDuffie. 17-yard pickup.
And when I was saying, Greg, there is no doubt that he is going to come back and play again next year.
We have an injured Bronco on the field.
O.J. McDuffie, number 81. Darian Gordon, look at this. Look at the throw, and what a catch. The ball behind him. The ball actually gets past him, and he reaches his hands up. Perfect form, catches the ball in his hands. Well, if you're a young receiver at home, this is how you catch the football. Look at this.
McDuffie, 7 catches for 101 yards today.
But yeah, you were talking about Dan Marino. We asked Jimmy Johnson some of these questions about next year, Dan Marino coming back. And, you know, Jimmy he says it this way: we need more playmakers on offense. So that means they got to get at least one big-time receiver, one more, and maybe 2. But he'd like to get that one big-time running back, a guy that has the size and can use the power and speed, you know, like a Terrell Davis, or, you know, because there's a lot of good running backs that come in this league every single year.
Darian Gordon helped off the field. You know, Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl in only his 2nd year in the National Football League and said, well, you know, you walked off the field a loser that day. Did you think, yeah, you'll have a lot more chances? Oh, absolutely. 4 or 5 minutes.
He said, when I lost the next day, it wasn't that big of a deal to me because I just figured, hey, we'll probably be back here next year. If not, we'll be back here a bunch of times the next 5 or 6 years.
Torrey James has replaced the injured Gordon. Far side of the field, complete and out of bounds. And that's McDuffie again.
You know, we hear that story so many times, though, Greg, as you go around and players talking about getting to the Super Bowl, winning it, and, you know, so many of them have been in it, lost, and almost everybody to a man says the same thing. You know, I just thought we'd always get back there. I thought I'd have another chance, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I should. And, you know, it's hard to enjoy it when you're doing it because you're concentrating and working so hard.
Marino throws this side, far side rather, to Pritchett, and he is hit hard by Torrey James. Well, Marino can wax poetic on how precious the trip to the Super Bowl is.
Well, the thing I've noticed today, the big difference, this Denver Broncos defense, that last play just illustrated, they are running to the ball, they are making the hits, and the first guy is making the tackle. They're not breaking tackles, getting long runs off of something, or catching short passes and making big gains. The secondary of the Broncos has had a great day tackling.
400-plus total yards now. And Marino goes down. Marvin Washington, number 95.
Well, that'll make the Broncos happy. We've said the one thing they've struggled on defensively is not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. Marvin Washington just does a good job of pushing and pushing. Really a good. John Bach, the left guard, does a good job. It just takes Dan Marino a little too long to get rid of the football.
4th and 8. The blitz, quick pass, complete, and dropping the football is Gadsden, and Gadsden is injured.
It's a completion.
It rolled like a fumble. Neil Smith. Neil Smith for the touchdown. Altitude or no altitude, Big Neil Smith is gassed.
Boy, Big Neil Smith was just tearing up some air, looking for it, going down the sideline, and a good job by him. A lot of people, us included, thought the play was over. Look what happens. It is a completion. Before he goes down, because of the hit, it looks like Oronde Gadsden's knee is hurt. He lets go of the football.
The hit was put on by number 25, Darius Johnson.
And Neil Smith does a good job of picking it up and being alert and running down the side. And right here, he doesn't know what to do. Somebody block that man for me there, because I cannot outrun Tim running. It looks like the ball comes out before he gets to the ground. An alert play. Nobody touched him. Good blocks. And watch right here. Starts pointing. He's pointing like a running back.
Like all of the running backs,
yeah. Well, that's terrific for a defensive lineman. They dream of these things.
Meanwhile, now getting to his feet is Oronde Gadsden. Definitely having some problems with that right leg.
I think for Neil Smith to come back in the game, he's going to have to put about 5 more of those breathe rights on his nose to get some more air. He's over on the sideline still gasping, but he scored him a touchdown.
Meanwhile, the Broncos have boosted their lead. You know, the worst previous playoff loss for the Miami Dolphins was in Super Bowl 19. They lost 38-16 to San Francisco. This is going to eclipse that by a lot.
Well, when you play the Denver Broncos, the one thing you got to know, and Mike Shanahan has said it to us many times, we're going to score somewhere. We're going to score at least 28 points. That's what they think. And you got to come in here and you got to try to outscore this offense.
Jason Elam adds the extra point. Meanwhile, it is Lightning Neil Smith with his 3rd career touchdown. I'd say the Broncos are in charge right now.
Yes, is sponsored by Nissan, who reminds you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. American Express. American Express helps you do more. And by IBM. Are you ready for e-business?
I'd say the Mile High scenery is a beautiful sight to everyone except the Miami Dolphins and their fans right now, as Neil Smith is still catching up on the sideline.
You know, that's pretty amazing. He's got that Band-Aid on. It has a Bronco on it, too. I mean, he takes care of all the little things. There it is. Look at that. A little, got a horse on his nose.
So you don't hit the wrong guy on the field.
Yeah.
This is Avery. 25. Penalty marker flies. 2 of them.
Penalties. Special teams penalties have been a backbreaker for Miami. Offensive penalties. Poor tackling.
We have the familiar conference.
Jimmy Johnson even said to us, Larry Izzo, his best special team player, is out. Personal foul face mask against the Denver Broncos. But he said it's really hurt his special teams. Number 43, Larry Izzo, backup linebacker, kind of like the captain of his special teams. And since he's been out, they've moved a lot of people around.
Number 83 of the return team. Personal foul, face mask on the kicking team. By rule, the receiving team will keep the ball at the spot of their foul, first down.
So Marino will go back to work at the 22-yard line. And the numbers on the day quite a bit different from 3 weeks ago in Miami.
Well, it sure is. And I mean, today, Dan Marino's receivers not making the plays. John Elway, they have. And of course, John Elway, the beneficiary today, he said it. We couldn't throw down in Miami because we couldn't run it. Today, they've run the ball extremely well. It's made the passing game work, too.
Ihani Uwezike has replaced Oronde Gadsden in the lineup. This is Bernie Parmalee, and Parmalee out over the 25. So with this game pretty well in hand for the Denver Broncos, they can look ahead to the winner of tomorrow's game between Jacksonville and the New York Jets. Now, Denver didn't play the Jets this season. However, they did beat Jacksonville here at Mile High. They led the Jaguars 27-10 at halftime and won it 37-24.
Yeah, we were here for that game. You know, a lot of people want to know who matches up well against the Broncos, who could have the chance.
Marino throws far side and a big hit put on Bernie Parmalee out there by Darius Johnson.
I think at tomorrow's game, I think the Jaguars are going to, they give the Jets some matchup problems, things they like to do, and vice versa. I think the New York Jets passing game could be a problem for the Jacksonville defense. But when you look at Denver, what you got to do, we said it, Greg, you got to score points, and the way you score them against this team is throwing the football. That's how you can make the plays. Their run defense is very good. That's the difference between their defense last year and this year. They can stop the running game now.
Marino's throw is complete to McDuffie. Clock continues to move, coming up on 8 minutes to play in the game.
And, of course, anytime you travel and you got to start throwing the football a lot of things can happen. Pressure the quarterback, a tip ball, all these things, they create turnovers when you have to throw the football too much.
That pass incomplete. Lamar Thomas, the intended receiver, Ray Crockett, broke it up.
You know, we were talking about this Denver defense, and boy, you know, Mike Shanahan, we kind of were talking about it earlier, Greg. He said when they lost those 2 games, if you read the papers and listened to people, that they were going to have no chance to go in the playoffs now and have success. He always said, hell, because my players, they felt like, man, we must be the worst team there is out there. And he says, it really did my team a lot of good. We got more focused. It made them mad. We got hungry again. And we've really seen that today, the effect of all those things.
On 2nd and 10, the pass into the flat, complete and out of bounds to Parmalee.
And of course, Bill Romanowski making that tackle. I mean, he just does everything. He rushes the quarterback well when he blitzes. He has the speed at linebacker to cover people out of the backfield and tight ends down the field, and he is a terrific tackler once he zeroes in on the ball carrier.
Third and 8. Quick pass. Lamar Thomas. Wow, got about 6 on the play.
You see Alfred Williams, number 91, coming from where he was, rushing the passer. He saw the quick screen, turned around, and, you know, we say this a lot of times, too. That's the difference in this league now than it was 5 years ago. When you're running down the field as a receiver, if you hesitate, you better brace yourself, because some defensive lineman is going to be chasing you from behind, looking to clean up on you.
4th and 2. And movement again. Everybody on the field with a yellow flag throws it.
You know, what is happening, the center, Tim Ruddy, is looking through his legs, then he comes up, the defense flinches, and that's why they're jumping.
Snap, false start, number 60, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
That's John Buck.
No, I mean, and that is illegal. You're not allowed to make motions to try to draw the other team or make the offensive lineman, you know, jump off sides or move. And, you know, the defensive linemen, the Denver Broncos, they got a great key. If you watch the center, he looks between his legs, and then when he looks back up, it's like he looks up, ball is snapped. Watch Tim Ruddy. Now look, get his head up, snap the ball.
The far side, Pritchett has first down yardage across midfield.
Well, that's a good job by Stanley Pritchett. That's one guy. Greg Robinson right there. Defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. Been under a little heat because of this Bronco defense. Has been giving up some yards the last few games of the season. Energetic. Been talked about getting interviewed for a few head jobs that are open around the NFL.
There are a few. Marino over the middle, intercepted. Darius Johnson out of bounds inside the 15.
Dan Marino never saw Darius Johnson. He's to the quarterback's left. He's standing there. Nobody comes out for him to cover. So when he sees Dan Marino look to the right, he starts moving and makes a fine catch for the interception. Watch from behind. Darius Johnson's over here. Nobody to cover. There he is. Boy, he reacts to the ball, and Dan Marino, that's what you want from your defensive players. That's what they talked about in Miami. We were there. We didn't make the plays. Today, and every time there's a play to be made, they are taking advantage of it.
50 yards on the return by Johnson.
Boy, he's making his presence known today. Darius Johnson's had a terrific game. There's 3 turnovers. Most of the time, people say, well, if we didn't turn over, we'd win. You know, turnovers are most of the time caused by the other team. You're getting out-hit, outplayed. That's why you turn the football over.
Derek Lavelle close to the 10.
I mean, you look at the Denver Broncos. They haven't turned it over. I mean, because they're winning the battles up front. They are out-hitting the Miami Dolphins. And when you're out-hitting the other team, you're not going to turn it over, and you catch the other team off guard, make them fumble or throw the interception.
Bubby Brister has come onto the field to replace John Elway. Lavelle cuts it back to the 5 and close to a first down.
You know, it's nice. Mike Shanahan pulling John Elway out 4 minutes or over 4.5 minutes to go in the game, and he wants his crowd to show all the appreciation they can show to this quarterback just in case it's the last run with the Denver Broncos.
Bubby Brister, meanwhile, stepped in and performed well in place of Elway on a couple of occasions this season when Elway was injured.
Well, Greg, he performed very well, and I've asked Mike Shanahan many times about it. He says it didn't surprise me. The guy practices well every single day, and when he gets a chance to play, he comes in and does a good job.
Jets game, it will begin at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and it will get underway with the NFL Today at 3:30 Eastern time here on CBS. Brister looking for the first down. Let's see where they spot the ball.
Well, it looks close. I would almost think if he doesn't get the first down here, they're going to run it again on 4th down. You know, Greg, you were talking about Bubby Brister came in, did such a good job and performed so well. And I think a lot of people thought, well, you know, when John Elway's down, this won't be the same team. But you find out when you got a good football team, that backup quarterback, when he has some talent, which Bubby Brister does, they can come in a short period of time and really keep things going. You don't really lose a lot.
4th and less than a yard, and Bubby Brister is going to commandeer a 4th down attempt here.
If you're sitting home thinking, well, they rubbing it in, no, this is really like what you're supposed to do. You don't kick the field goal. You go ahead and run it in. You let the defensive know.
Brister dives for the first down.
Well, that was a good jump by Bubby Brister. I used to hate the quarterback sneak for a couple reasons. I couldn't jump like that. And John Elway's told us many times, you know, you take some of the worst hits when you do that quarterback sneak. But watch Bubby Brister, gets the ball, gathers himself, and skies over the top.
Bubby got some air under him.
Got some air, that's right. You know, he's got a lot of emotion to him. Don't let him score a touchdown by keeping the ball or something like that. He'll celebrate.
1st and goal. He's going to dive it again. You know, Bubby's looking to be a little sore in the morning.
I think he's going to be. I mean, I didn't mean to laugh, but I almost swear I could hear him go, ooh. Because this time he jumps over the pile and he gets ripped. Watch the hit come. Zach Thomas. I think they might have to think again here. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, Dan Marino. You think your team is getting better. You know what this really shows you, the Miami Dolphins or any team in this situation, we got a lot of work to do. There's another level we got to climb, and we got to do it in a short period of time, either new players and working harder before next year comes.
And Brister takes the knee, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. This Miami defense allowed an NFL low 16.6 points a game. Today the Broncos have put 38 on the board. 2 minutes to play here in Denver, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Denver. yards rushing, which made the difference. You see that it ranks him fourth in single-game rushing in the postseason. 248.
Who did he do that against? See, I don't know. I bet you they won.
I like it when you go out on a limb.
I do, yeah. I just like to take chances in life. I'm a gambler.
While we have the opportunity, we'll remind you the executive producer of CBS Sports is Terry Ewert. The coordinating director of the NFL on CBS is Larry Cavallina. The producer of today's game is Mark Wolf. The senior producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. And the NFL Today is directed by Bob Matina. The associate director of our game here today is Ross Schneiderman. Our associate producers, Chris Svensson, Peter Rogaris, and broadcast associates Steve Karasik and Greg Freeman. Great performers, one and all.
Did I hear the word coordination and Larry Cavallina together?
In the same sentence. Let me see that list again. Yeah. I've aired before. Time Dan Marino has failed to throw a touchdown pass on.
Well, he still had a good day. I thought he threw the ball very well. He just needed more help. You know, they're in a lot of adverse situations, but I think we can see when you watch Dan Marino on the field that he is going to come back and play. And just like this year, I thought he had a good year with the Miami Dolphins. As the team matured, he got better. He threw the ball exceptionally well, and he can be a productive quarterback again next year.
Damon Huard and the Dolphins are going to run the clock out by taking a knee.
You know, I want to give a little credit to one of our cameramen today, George Rothweiler. He did the job. He must have got down on the ground to shoot John Elway's hands, and he caught that little twitch or rubbing of the fingers. There he is. We know he's known to everybody right here as the Hulk.
Of course, down on the ground is familiar territory for him.
Yeah. But that was really a terrific job of spotting something.
And to our entire crew as well for its usual outstanding coverage.
Absolutely.
This ball game is over. Elway and Marino, Johnson and Shanahan meeting in midfield. The Broncos will host the AFC Championship game here next Sunday. For Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, I'm Greg Gumbel, and that's it from Denver. Once again, our final score, the Broncos 38 and Miami 3. Stay tuned now for the American General postgame show. Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, Mike Lombardi, and Steeler coach Bill Cowher will have analysis of today's Miami-Denver game and postgame interviews. And then Vern Lundquist and Randy.
Great players step up, and I thought we made a number of plays on offense, defense, and special teams. You know, to hold a team like, you know, Miami and Dan Marino to 3 points, really a credit to our defense, playing a complete football game, and to come back and, you know, move the ball like we did is really a credit to everybody on that offensive team. So it was a great team win against an excellent football team that's very well coached. I'm very pleased.
Did you know your team was better than they showed in Miami in December?
Well, we've talked about this before. It really doesn't matter what you do during the season. Once you get to the playoffs, it gives you an opportunity to you know, go for the big one. And regardless on how you get there, if you know, if you got home field advantage or you come in as a wild card, it all starts at base one. So you've got to get it done, and we were able to do that today.
But Mike, what was the difference between Terrell Davis in Miami and Terrell in Philly?
Well, I think you know, our backs were against the wall, and you know, we had to play a complete football game. You know, when you're playing for something, and everybody knows what we were playing for, the juices are flowing a little bit more. And to play at home and have that advantage, a combination of those two things sometimes gets you over the hump.
You know, the big lead, how much is that advantage to the defense, and what does it do for the rest of the game?
Well, obviously, anytime you get to a big lead, it you know, helps the defense, it helps the offense, helps the conference of the football team. I believe we had the ball 3 times in that first half, except right at the end with less than 2 minutes, and we had 3 touchdowns. And in order to do that against an excellent defensive football team, you have to have 11 guys all doing the right thing, not making mistakes, and really pleased with that.
Like, what is the extent of Tony Jones' knee injury?
I really don't know. You know, he didn't come back. He couldn't play. Let's keep our fingers crossed that he's going to be able to go. Right now,